Today we're taking a deep dive into something that's, well, let's just say it's close to home for everyone.
Literally.
You got it, hearts. You guys sent in some really interesting stuff about stress and heart health. Seems like you're as fascinated by this stuff as we are.
Always a good sign.
For sure. And there's this one story, it's more like a parable, actually, that we just have to unpack.
Ah, medical parables? Not your everyday encounter, are they?
Right. You don't see those every day.
Okay.
But it's a genius way to make these medical mysteries, make sense to the rest of us.
Kind of like sneaking in a little learning through the back door.
Exactly. And this one really grabs you. Picture this. 19-year-old guy, heart's going a mile a minute. Mom's practically dragging him to the doctor.
He's fine. It's just anxiety struggle is real.
Oh, tell me about it. But here's the kicker tests. All come back normal. EKG, echocardiogram, everything's perfect.
And that's where a good doctor really shines. It's not just about the numbers on a chart. It's about connecting the dots between those numbers and the patient's life.
Totally. It's like they need to be detectives or something.
A bit of a medical Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly. And the doctor in this story, they're like the Sherlock Holmes of storytelling. They use this example, right, about a dog jumping out from behind a tree.
I'm intrigued.
So the point they're making is, if something startles you, your heart's going to race, right?
Right.
It's just instinct, not necessarily a medical emergency.
The good old fight or flight response, kicking into high gear.
Right. It's like our bodies are hardwired for survival, so our heart rate jumps, blood pumps to our muscles. It's getting us ready to either fight off that danger or run for the hills.
Just like our ancestors on the savannah.
Right. Exactly. Except the danger we're facing these days is more likely to be a stack of bills than a saber-toothed tiger.
The struggle is real, just a different kind of real.
It's so true. And that's where this whole thing gets really interesting and relevant for all of us. Because those daily stressors, that mountain of work, the traffic nightmare, just life, those things trigger that same fight or flight response.
Even though the biggest threat is probably that extra scoop of ice cream we had for dessert.
You're speaking my language.
Right. But our bodies, they don't always know the difference. That racing heart, as unnerving as it is, might just be a sign that our internal alarm system is a little overzealous, not necessarily that there's something wrong with the heart itself.
But here's the thing that gets me. We hear this, right, about stress and our hearts racing.
It's easy to brush it off, isn't it?
Totally. But then we start thinking, wait, is it really just stress? Or is something else going on?
We can't just ignore what our bodies are telling us.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, this parable, it's not just a nice story. You actually sent over some hardcore research that backs this whole thing up.
Oh yeah, the science behind this is fascinating.
So it's not just some old wives' tale. There's real proof that our minds and bodies are like doing a tango together, especially when it comes to our hearts.
Absolutely. It's all connected. And the research you sent in makes that super clear.
Okay, so walk me through it. What kind of things are the researchers saying?
Well, one study you sent over, it really digs into this whole thing about chronic stress and how it impacts our cardiovascular system.
Our what now?
Cardiovascular system, basically your heart and blood vessels.
Okay, got it. Keep going.
Right. So they found that if you're constantly exposed to stress hormones, like cortisol, think of it like your body's alarm system on overdrive.
Yeah.
It can set off this whole chain reaction of not so great things.
Like what? Give me the nitty-gritty.
Well, for starters, your blood pressure can go up. You can get inflammation in your arteries. It's like your body is in a constant state of red alert.
And that's not good for your heart, obviously.
Not good at all. It can actually change the way your heart functions on a fundamental level.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's kind of like your heart was designed for the occasional sprint, like when you had to outrun a predator back in the caveman days.
But not for running a marathon every single day.
Exactly. Our poor hearts weren't built for that kind of constant wear and tear.
That makes sense. But how does that translate to, everyday life?
Think of it this way. Imagine your heart is like a high-performance sports car.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You've got it. So you got this amazing machine, but if you keep redlining it, pushing it to its limits all the time, what's going to happen?
It's going to break down eventually.
Exactly. And our hearts are no different. All that constant stress, it takes its toll, and over time, it can wear down even the strongest heart.
Okay, that car analogy, that really drives the point home. So we've got chronic stress. That's the big bad wolf. But what about the everyday stuff? I'm talking deadlines at work, rush hour traffic, all those little annoyances that add up. Are those enough to actually cause damage?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
For real.
And it's where things get really interesting. It doesn't always take a major life crisis to throw your heart out of whack.
You're kidding.
Nope. Those little things, those daily hassles, especially if they're happening all the time and we're not exactly handling them with grace, they can trigger a low-level stress response that sticks around.
So it's like our stress response is always turned up a notch.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And even though it's not a full-blown panic attack every time, that constant low-level stress, it adds up.
So it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, but for our hearts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A very fitting analogy.
So we're basically stuck then, stressed out hearts and no way out.
Not quite. It's not about avoiding stress altogether, because who can really do that, right?
Right. Bills have to get paid. Deadlines have to be met. That's life.
Exactly. But we can change how we react to it, how we let it affect us.
And that's where those lifestyle changes come in, right?
Exactly. It's about having a game plan for when life throws those curveballs.
So what really stood out to you, from the research? What's actually effective when it comes to managing stress?
Well, you might be surprised to hear this, but you're already doing one of the most powerful things right now.
Really? Well, sitting here talking to you, what's so powerful about that?
That's the thing. It's not just about sitting here. It's about being curious, about wanting to learn and understand. That right there is a secret weapon against stress.
Knowledge is power. I love it.
Absolutely. The more you know about how stress affects your body, the better equipped you are to handle it. But okay, enough about the benefits of deep dives.
But wait, before we move on, tell me more. What else does the research say about beating stress?
Well, exercise is a big one.
Ugh, I knew you were going to say that.
Hear me out. And before you roll your eyes, you don't need to go all out, become a marathon runner or anything.
Okay, that's good to know because I'm more of a walk around the block kind of person.
And that's great. Even moderate exercise, a brisk walk, a bike ride, whatever you enjoy, it can make a world of difference in how your body deals with stress.
So I'm basically getting a 2-for-1 deal. Stress relief, A and D exercise. Sign me up. What else you got?
Mindfulness practices.
Okay, like what? Give me the basics.
Meditation, deep breathing, they've been shown to work wonders.
You're really making me want to sign up for a yoga class right now.
It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system, calming things down when life gets chaotic.
I could definitely use a reset button some days.
Right.
Okay, but let's be real. What about those moments when stress hits you like a ton of bricks? Like you're about to give a big presentation, your heart's pounding. You can't exactly whip out a yoga mat in the middle of the boardroom.
I hear you. That's when those deep breathing techniques I mentioned can really come in handy.
Seriously. Something that simple actually works.
Seriously. Even a minute or two of focused breathing can make a huge difference.
You're blowing my mind right now. Okay, gotta try it.
It's like a mini vacation for your mind and body.
Sign me up. This all comes back to that parable we started with.
Doesn't it all? Amazing how that works.
Yeah. It's like that doctor was saying, sometimes just understanding why our bodies react the way they do, that's half the battle right there.
It's like that aha moment that changes everything.
It's true. When you realize that a racing heart in the middle of a stressful situation might just be your body doing its thing, it actually makes it less scary.
And less scary often means less stress, which in turn can help calm your heart rate.
It's like a positive feedback loop, right?
Exactly.
This has been amazing. I don't know about you, but I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's been a wild ride.
We started with this simple story about a guy with a racing heart, and now we're here diving deep into the whole mind-body connection, stress management, the works.
And the best part is, it's not just about understanding the science, it's about taking that knowledge and actually doing something with it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about empowering yourselves, right? To understand your bodies, manage those stress levels, and live healthier, happier lives. And the best part, you don't need a medical degree to do it. Just a little bit of knowledge and a willingness to listen to what your body's trying to tell you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So the next time you feel that heart pounding, take a deep breath and remember, you got this.
This has been an amazing deep dive. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you in the next episode.